Hi everyone, thank you so much for the support today. We live to see another day, another round, so please come and support me tomorrow in both singles and doubles. See you.
Instant karma. The ABC host who mocked Alex Eala on live TV got destroyed and had to publicly beg for forgiveness. Let me tell you something right now. If you have ever doubted that the universe has a sense of humor, today's story is about to change your entire worldview. Because what happened over the last few weeks in the world of tennis was not just a sports story. It was a full-scale, nationally televised, social media documented karmic implosion that left one smug morning show host crawling on their knees in front of millions of viewers, desperately begging for forgiveness from a 20-year-old girl who was too busy winning tennis matches to even notice. Welcome back to Court Vision Plus, your absolute #1 destination for the most explosive, jaw-dropping, pull-the-curtain-back drama from the tennis world. Today we are diving deep into the story of Alexandra Eala, the pride of the Philippines, the sweetheart of the WTA Tour, and the young woman who just gave the mainstream sports media the most humiliating lesson they have received in years. Without even trying. Without even saying a single word. So get comfortable, get your snacks ready, and let's rip this whole story open from the very beginning, because every single layer of this saga is more delicious than the last. To truly appreciate the magnitude of what went down, you have to understand who Alexandra Eala is and what she represents. Because this is not just a tennis story. This is a story about an entire nation, about generational talent, about the kind of pressure that would crack most human beings before they even reached their 20s. Alex Eala was born in Manila, and from the moment she picked up a racket, it was clear that something special was happening. She went on to train at the legendary Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, one of the most prestigious tennis development programs on the entire planet. And she didn't just train there and fade into the background like so many hopefuls who pass through those. She won junior Grand Slams. She announced herself to the world with a level of confidence and composure that made veteran coaches stop and stare. But here is the thing about the junior circuit that the casual sports media never fully grasps. Being a junior superstar and making it on the WTA main tour are two entirely different universes. The gap between those two worlds has swallowed some of the most talented players in history whole. The adult tour is brutal, unforgiving, physically punishing, and mentally exhausting in a way that no junior tournament can fully prepare you for. Many players crack under the transition. Many promising careers quietly disappear into the rankings, never to be heard from again. That is just the cold, hard reality of professional tennis. But not Alex. In 2025, Alexandra Eala did something that nobody in the tennis world saw coming. She showed up at the Miami Open ranked 140th in the world, clutching a wildcard entry, and she proceeded to go on an absolute tear through the draw. Match after match, she knocked out higher-ranked opponents, fought through pressure situations that would have sent most players her age running for the locker room, and reached the semifinals at the Hard Rock Stadium. The semifinals. On a wildcard. At 140 in the world. It was one of the most breathtaking Cinderella stories the tour had produced in years, and it instantly turned Alex into a global sensation. Filipino fans, who had been waiting decades for a player like this, lost their collective minds in the best possible way. The videos of Filipino fans cheering in the stands at Hard Rock, draped in flags, screaming their lungs out for their girl, went viral around the world. It wasn't just sports.
These truly are career-defining moments.
It was an emotional moment for an entire country that had been dreaming of this for a very long time. So fast forward to 2026. Alex Eala is no longer flying under the radar. She enters the 2026 Miami Open as the 31st seed, which means she has officially earned her place among the top tier of the women's tour. That jump from 140 to 31 is not a gift. You don't get handed that ranking. You fight for every single point through grueling weeks on tour, through wins in brutal conditions, through bouncing back from losses that could shatter your confidence, Through grinding and grinding until the numbers on the computer screen finally start to reflect the player you know you are. Alex had done all of that work quietly, diligently, and without making a single fuss. That is the story that should have been told. That is the narrative a competent, professional sports journalist would have led with when previewing her Miami run. But unfortunately, not everyone in sports media is interested in the actual story. Some people are just interested in the click. Enter the ABC morning show host. We are not going to drag this person's name through the mud endlessly because, frankly, they don't deserve the extra publicity, and Alex Eala's story is far more interesting than theirs. But we are absolutely going to talk about what happened, because it was jaw-dropping in its arrogance. Just days before the 2026 Miami Open tournament got underway, this host was anchoring a sports preview segment, the kind of fluffy, breezy morning television piece that is supposed to give casual fans a sense of what to watch for in the coming weeks. A normal, competent host would have highlighted the storylines, mentioned a few favorites, maybe cracked a light joke about the Florida Heat, and moved on. Instead, this host decided to go full villain. Smirking directly into the camera with the kind of confidence that only comes from never having faced any real consequences, they zeroed in on Alexandra Eala like a heat-seeking missile. They took her 31st seeding, a seeding she had earned through a year of exceptional tennis, and mocked it. They called her 2025 Miami run a total fluke. A lucky draw. A marketing exercise built on the Nadal Academy brand rather than any real, proven ability. The host practically laughed as they predicted that once Alex came up against battle-tested, elite-level competition in 2026, she would be exposed, overwhelmed, and sent packing faster than you could say wildcard. The casual dismissal. The sneer in their voice. The absolute certainty of someone who had clearly never watched a full Alex Eala match in their life, sitting in a climate-controlled studio in a nice suit, pronouncing judgment on a 20-year-old athlete who had sacrificed years of her life to get to where she was. It was the kind of commentary that makes genuine sports fans absolutely furious, not because criticism is wrong, but because this wasn't even criticism. It had no analytical foundation. It was pure, lazy, elitist dismissal dressed up in sports punditry clothing. And the internet noticed immediately. Because Alex was seeded this year, she received a first-round bye. While the host was busy basking in the attention their hot take was generating, Alex had an extra couple of days to breathe, to prepare, and to channel whatever she was feeling into something productive. Her second-round opponent was Laura Siegemund, ranked 53rd in the world, and absolutely not the kind of player you sleepwalk past. Siegemund is crafty. She is experienced. She knows exactly how to manipulate the rhythm of younger players, how to mix up pace and spin and placement in ways that frustrate and destabilize. And in the first set, it looked like the critics might have a point. The opening set was an absolute war, a punishing, grinding battle that went all the way to a tiebreak, which Siegemund eventually edged out to take the set 7-6. At that precise moment, you could practically hear the smug satisfaction radiating from a certain morning show studio. Here it comes, the doubters thought. Here's where she folds. Instead, Alexandra Eala shifted into a different gear entirely. What followed was 3 hours and 20 minutes of some of the most tenacious, courageous tennis you will see from any player this year, let alone a 20-year-old in just her second full season on tour. She chased down balls she had no business reaching. She carved winners into corners that seemed physically impossible. She stared down every pressure point with the kind of ice-cold composure that coaches spend years trying to teach. And she closed out the match, taking the next 2 sets 6-3, 6-3, completing one of those wins that doesn't just go on a scoreboard, it goes into the DNA of a career. When she walked off that court after 3 hours and 20 minutes of absolute warfare, she wasn't celebrating wildly. She just smiled, raised her fist, and kept moving. That quiet confidence. That controlled intensity. That right there is a champion's mentality. Now, if the universe had been satisfied with simply making the host look mildly incorrect, the story might have ended there. But the universe, as we established at the top of this video, has an absolutely spectacular sense of humor. Waiting for Alex in the third round was Magda Linette. Now, you might hear that name and think, okay, 50th in the world, manageable. And normally you might have a point. But Linette had just done something remarkable in the previous round. She had walked onto the court and beaten Iga Swiatek. World number 3. One of the most dominant players in the modern era of women's tennis. Linette had just pulled off a seismic upset and was riding one of those waves of invincibility that players sometimes find, where everything goes in, where the confidence is overflowing, where they feel completely unstoppable. The conventional wisdom said that Alex, who had just survived a 3-hour-plus marathon, would be running on empty against a player who was absolutely on fire and had absolutely nothing to lose. What Alex did to Linette in that third round was not just a win. It was a statement. It was a meticulously crafted, tactically brilliant, physically commanding performance that made people watching at home genuinely question whether they were seeing the future of the sport unfold in real time. She read Linette's game like a book. She controlled the tempo, she varied the depth, she moved beautifully and hit with authority, and she sent the woman who had just beaten Iga Swiatek home with a 6-3, 7-6 scoreline. The round of 16. Alexandra Eala was in the round of 16 at the Miami Open. Again. And this time, not as a wildcard who snuck in through the back door. As a seeded player who had earned every single point of her ranking and then proved in the most public arena possible that the number next to her name was not just deserved, it might have been too low. The internet did not wait. The second that match point landed and Alex raised her arms, the tsunami began. Millions of Filipino fans, tennis purists, WTA supporters, and frankly just regular people who cannot stand arrogance getting away unpunished, descended on the ABC network's social media pages like a force of nature. They found the original clip of the host's rant. They played it side by side with the video of Alex's winning shot.
It's gone out. Listen to the noise. The ovation.
They tagged the morning show. They tagged the host personally. They tagged the network. The hashtag demanding a public apology trended worldwide, and it did not stop trending for days. It wasn't just a few thousand irritated sports fans venting into the void. It was a coordinated, sustained, global chorus of people who had watched the disrespect happen and were not willing to let it quietly disappear down the memory hole of the 24-hour news cycle. The numbers were enormous. The coverage was everywhere. And inside whatever network building that host woke up in the next morning, there was absolutely, 100%, without a single doubt, a very uncomfortable meeting happening with some very senior people at that network. And then came the broadcast. Oh, the broadcast. If you have ever wanted to watch a textbook example of a person being forced to publicly consume their own words on live television while their colleagues barely suppress their amusement, then this segment was made for you. The host appeared on camera looking like someone who had not slept particularly well. The body language alone told the entire story before a single word was spoken. Shoulders slightly tensed. Eyes just a fraction too wide.
We got last year's semifinalist Alex Eala on our Cadillac desk. Congratulations.
Thank you.
3-set win, a comeback for you. She's a tricky player. What solutions were you able to find?
The posture of someone who knows exactly what is coming and has had absolutely no choice in the matter. They looked into the camera and they did it. They admitted they were wrong. They stumbled through a network-approved acknowledgement that Alexandra Eala was, and we are paraphrasing here because the visible discomfort said everything, a formidable talent. The co-hosts, to their eternal credit, did nothing to ease the suffering. There were smiles. There were barely concealed chuckles. One co-host reportedly shook their head slowly in that delicious way that communicates everything without a single syllable. It was glorious television. It was the kind of moment that gets compiled into live TV fails videos and lives on the internet forever. The ultimate walk of shame, delivered to millions of living rooms before most people had finished their morning coffee. That is the story of the most satisfying piece of instant karma that the tennis world has witnessed in a very long time. And we are here for every second of it. Now listen, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I need you to do something for me right now. Smash that like button because this kind of story deserves to be seen by every single tennis fan on the planet. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think that host's apology was genuine, or was it purely a damage control exercise ordered by the network? I want every single opinion, no matter how spicy. And if you are not already subscribed to Court Vision Plus, what are you even doing? Hit that subscribe button and turn on every notification bell because we cover the matches, the drama, the storylines, and the moments that the mainstream sports media either misses entirely or gets completely wrong. We are here every single week bringing you the stories that matter. Thanks for watching. We will see you on the next one.
Alexandra, so many emotions right now. First of all,